Hello, everyone. Victoria and Diana are live today. As promised, we are here today to discuss our great adventure. But before I go there, I'll just share some background notes and generally what is going to happen today and who is going to be speaking with you guys or who is going to share their experience that happened pretty recently. So my name is Victoria, your host. Happy to be back after the adventure in Caucasus. Today, my guest is Diana Tcaci, with whom I went to Georgia because both of us had a relatively wild dream. We wanted to reach the peak of Mount Kazbek in the Caucasus region, and after deciding that we are going for it, we started preparing. We like super determined, and we bought big backpacks because that was a key key aspect of the trip. So with everything ready, we went to Georgia. And we received lots of questions from you guys about like how do you actually decide to go on such a trip? What equipment do you need? What investments are we talking about? How do you actually prepare for this, right? One thing is to want, another thing is to actually go for it. Clearly, what challenges did we face, and how we managed the more stressful situations that occurred while being on the mountain. So together with Dana, we'll be happy to discuss this and much more on the special edition of the VDay Hour. We want to share our truthful experience of how it went, what we felt, how it really was being there and overcoming various situations. So we'll be happy to go over it and really share the experience with you guys. And I want to encourage everyone to share questions if they have any. They can do that below the live session. So we'll be happy to answer them and shed some light into the questions that you may have. So with that being said, I'll be happy to hand it over to Diana and to give the floor to her. Diana, how are you? It's been a few days since we came back. How do you feel?
Thanks a lot. Look, to be honest, I'm still a bit dizzy. I still cannot believe that happened with me. It feels like a dream, not a nightmare, a very exciting dream, a long one, and painful, judging by my pain in the legs. But every day I realize that after this experience, I feel somehow different. Something changed, something clicked inside, I guess. And I'm still in the phase of identifying what exactly at what moment and how to deal with that afterwards. But otherwise, I feel great, just fantastic.
I'm so glad to hear that. I also feel quite okay. I actually started feeling already more myself around Wednesday. So we arrived Sunday evening. And already Wednesday, I feel like, okay, I think I'm back. I think I'm slowly getting back to life because it was very overwhelming, right? Not only physically, but also emotionally and on all aspects. It was a lot of things to digest. So we're super grateful for this experience.
And also the lack of sleep, let's be honest. Come on.
Oh,
like
yes.
how much do you sleep in a tent where there is a crazy wind or noise outside? So the lack of sleep was one of the biggest challenge for me as well, because the body was not just able to recover fully. So right now I'm just catching up and planning a relaxing weekend to recharge my batteries.
Excellent. That will happen for sure. Today, though, we'll have to go into our experience because a lot of people reached out to us and they're like, how did you actually go there? So actually, the question for me, for you right now would be, because I want to say to everyone that this was Diana's idea. So how did you come up with this idea, and how did you decide to embark on this journey?
Okay, the secret is that I was aiming for a different mountain, but because I chose one specific company which I trusted and was recommended by a climber, I decided to adjust my goal depending on their schedule. So that's how I came up with Kazbek, with Georgia, and that's the idea which I presented to you. Uh, but actually, I was aiming for Kilimanjaro, so that's about to come in the future. So once it's because I was trusting the company from Ukraine, and second reason, come on, it's Georgia. Like, I've never been to Georgia. They have amazing food and wine and like the whole culture around hospitality. Who will refuse such a trip? So obviously, of course, like you get two in one.
So
So
these were
that's
the
how,
prerequisites, the
yeah,
prerequisites of going to the mountain as such.
exactly. Like to have a round a gastronomical experience as well. And I think you will agree it was amazing, like both.
It was a great combination of this challenge and also the all the prerequisites
Mhm.
around it, which made the trip so fantastic. But if I come back to the idea of like how did you come up with it, and when you actually told me, I felt so pumped about it. I thought I definitely thought that it's super challenging, but I took it as
Mhm.
a I don't know, as a task somehow. I was like, I'm gonna make it. I want to try. It's gonna be, of course, very hard. I'm not really sure what I'm getting myself into yet,
Mhm.
but it felt that I will be able to do it. And I remember one particular person. I shared this thought with him, and he immediately said, "You have to go for it. You're gonna make it. You're really gonna be able to do it, and you should really go for it." So that also gave me some boost, and also gave me some power to go with this. But the idea was super crazy indeed, and I'm not a very experienced in such such type of initiative. So for me, that was
Mhm.
also a bit, it gave me a lot of thinking, like how do I do this, how do I do that. But since we agreed about it in advance, we had the time, right, to discuss, to understand how to prepare, right. And also, as you correctly said, we went with a company which is based in Ukraine. It's called Alpomania, and they were providing the information to us whenever we needed, right, about equipment or anything else that we needed to prepare. So that also gave us some confidence that we're not going there blankly, right. We're going there with some some background information behind.
True, true. And another factor which I was thinking is like if I'm a beginner with no experience, I was aiming for a mountain which is would be quite easy. So
Mhm.
between Ararat Peak, Kazbek Peak, and maybe Elbrus, which is a bit higher, but still we can put it in the same category.
Mhm.
I thought Kazbek will be the easiest one. Mistake.
Yeah, we'll get to that very soon, right.
Yeah,
Oh, it's going to be easy. Uh-huh.
yeah. So, surprise! Was not so easy. But yeah,
Yeah, but
we
we'll
got
get
there.
there very soon. Don't worry, guys.
Mhm.
But yeah, but hey, we're back. We're here. We managed, so it's
Yeah.
feasible. But it was definitely a bit unexpected of how the level of difficulty actually, right? And it's not only physical, as I want to stress out. It's not only physical. It's a bunch of aspects that are actually kind of put themselves together, and that can be very overwhelming at times, right? If you're not able to process it well.
True,
What do
true,
you
true.
think?
Um, I think the whole experience, indeed was influenced by a bunch of factors, and the preparation is important. But for me, the most important was the mindset during the entire journey.
Mhm.
And obviously we will talk about it, but mindset is the one key factor which give me a lot of strength in order to reach the top. Otherwise, I think I will have dropped in the first couple of hours. But yeah,
Oh yeah, and
mindset.
it's so easy to do that, right? Like you're
Yeah,
just so overwhelmed with everything that
true,
you
true.
just want to like leave everything and go somewhere else, you know.
Yeah, indeed,
But
indeed.
I think what I was hearing a lot from some of my friends, and they were actually wondering, how does the preparation process looks like? So you have a couple of months. Like, where do you start?
Mhm.
How do you organize yourself so that you feel confident that you're gonna manage such an experience?
Look, based on my experience. So, firstly, of course, I was reading about the peak, about the mountain, about the complexity. What are the expectations from the equipment point of view?
Mhm.
Obviously, I asked also the company, the tour guide, what would be the physical preparation. Like, I am a lady, I am quite skinny, I am not, a bodybuilder or something like this.
Yeah.
Would I would manage in general? So obviously, after a little conversation, like what sports I'm practicing and so on, I understood that the most important is to build your core resistance. So you not necessarily have to be strong like a pack of muscles, but you have to be resistant. So swimming, jogging, running, cycling are the, let's say, the best activities if you practice it, I don't know, weekly, two, three
Mhm.
times a week, then definitely you will be able to manage the peak with not a big trouble. So that's one point.
Mhm.
Second point, equipment. Oh my God, that took a lot of time. And it took a lot of time because I am quite picky about the equipment. I'll be honest, I think I'm a control freak about that. I was searching through forums, watching YouTube videos with suggestions, advices, in Russian, in English, in Romanian, whatever. Like I was in all the languages, just to be able to distinguish what type of equipment, what's the difference between them. If you take I don't know, something with natural material or synthetic materials, what's the challenge, what's the advantage and
Mhm.
disadvantage in both? And obviously the price is also a factor.
Because
So
let's be honest, sports clothing is pricey, and you have to be mindful about that. And
yeah,
if you want a quality piece, then expect some investments.
definitely, definitely, definitely. So being organized, I just put a list of the entire equipment that I had to prepare, then the list of all the sites where I found the pieces, the prices, the codes, and then I started buying, trying, returning, and so on, because every piece you have to make sure that you will be able to put three coats on you. So
Exactly.
definitely one has to be smaller, the other one has to be size plus one. The boots, they have been plus two sizes. So I've been buying and returning every time in order to make sure that everything fits perfectly and I feel comfortable.
Yeah.
No one needs, super fashion or super beautiful outfit on the mountain, but being comfortable, being warm, and protective, these are key factors. So it takes some time, and I would definitely advise everybody to take it seriously. Equipment is important. Is deciding the entire experience, how you will feel after that.
I actually want to add here one thing. We were on the mountain. It was so freaking cold, and one night it started snowing, and we were like having three coats, but we were not cold, and we were like, thank God we bought good things
Exactly.
because they kept us warm in those nights. It was incredible, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you have to follow the guide's advices strictly. If every alpine company, I think they have a list of uh, of equipment needed. So you just have to don't save money on that. It's about your life. It's about your health. It's priceless. So yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And if I would add something to the equipment part and the list that you made, I have to admit that I used that list that Jan already prepared to buy my equipment. So I'm very grateful and thankful to you for having this ready. And
Happy I could help.
it really helped me as well to also buy everything that I needed, and it was much more. It was much easier this way. So
Yeah.
if you're going with some friends, make sure that everybody does a part of the organization, and you're all kind of contributing to that, because it really saves time.
Yeah.
Um,
As
and
an
it,
advice about the equipment, I'm sorry to cut you. Certain things you can actually rent it, maybe locally, close to the
indeed,
peak.
indeed.
But there are minimum things, and if you really want to continue doing this, practicing this kind of let's say sport, or call it sport, alpinism, then it's worth the investment. So in my opinion, for me, I think it's worth the investment. But definitely, you can rent the mountaineering equipment, specifically the metallic parts, or harness, helmet, and so on. So it
Yeah,
can be
so
done.
if I talk from my experience, yeah, it's more like I bought, so all the clothing, in my opinion,
Mhm.
I think should be your own, because, you cannot really rent, uh, you know,
You,
t-shirts.
you you'll not find it.
Yeah, you buy it for yourself and you use it going forward. But about equipment, I did rent it on spot. It was a bit pricey, but I felt like it's the best way for me to organize myself, because I was not really able to find everything in Prague. Also because I have prepared slightly in a shorter period of time than Diana did, so I was able to rent some of the equipment on spot, and it was possible, and it went well this way for me. So you have two situations where you can, where ideally you want to prepare a few months in advance and really
Yeah.
have everything ready. Diana, I think, had her backpack ready back in May.
Yes, yes, indeed. It was ready, packed, and closed, ready to depart.
Sending us the picture so that we get motivated as well. Like, hey, fast, it's approaching. The date is approaching.
I told you I'm a control freak. What can I do?
No, but that was great. You had the codes. You helped us a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah, from my experience, I was able to rent it on spot, and it was well. And the guide also helped us a lot to, he advised us, and he knew what things we need and what we don't. So it was very well organized from that perspective as well. Okay, so we're coming back to the preparation process. So the equipment, the clothing, the sports activities that are required. Anything else? What about the mental side? How do you actually prepare mentally for such a trip?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. That's a good question. You pray?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
mentally, okay. Considering that you're going on the mountain and considering that you'll be sleeping in a tent, in a sleeping bag, you have to erase all the expectations that you may have about this experience. Yeah. So you have to be ready that you're going on a higher altitude in the wild. There is no water, maybe electricity, shower, toilets, and kitchenware to sit. So be
Yes.
ready to um, to experience the unknown and to just be ready for it. Yeah. And obviously, the desire to reach the top has to be strong enough, because it's not going to be easy. Imagine if it's raining or snowing, or you're freezing during the night. So you have to have forces and still stay positive and smile during this journey. If you're not ready, if you're not sure, it's better not to risk. If someone is doing that for proving something, or because you have been asked to go on the mountain, maybe don't. You really have to earn it.
It has to
Kind of.
be a very conscious decision to do
Yes,
such a trip.
definitely.
It's not like you're going on a hike and you're going back.
No.
You have to be very mindful about it, and it's important to. I want to stress this out right now. Now that we've been there and we've come back and we've seen how it
Yeah.
actually feels,
Yeah.
it's definitely, it has to be like a conscious decision, and you have to be super prepared about it, both mentally and physically, and also be aware that there is a lot of background preparation for it that is required, and you cannot skip it. You cannot go on such a trip without the proper preparation.
And obviously, it's not a walk in the park, so you may feel you may have health issues. So you have to be prepared for that, and be aware well, how your body is prepared if you have any chronic disease, and how to deal with that. So
Yes.
basically, you're fully responsible of yourself and of your life. We have the insurance, fine. Obviously, there is always a plan B, but still, we're fully responsible. We have to be present. So
Yeah,
that.
because our guide was mentioning, right, and we also felt it on ourselves and in our bodies, the mountain sickness, right? So when you're at a higher altitude, there is a lack of oxygen, so your body starts to feel a bit weird. So at least the heart is pumping faster because it doesn't really understand what's happening. So you may feel, and the symptoms can be very different depending on the person, right?
Yeah, true. True.
So it can be headache, it can be a pain somewhere. It really depends. So this is where it relates to what you're mentioning about. You have to be mindful of what you're suffering from. If you have any diseases, you have to be mindful, because sometimes it will be you will not be recommended to actually go if you have certain
It's
conditions.
possible as well.
So
Yeah.
it's very important to check that before going.
Yeah, there is also this factor that the company with whom you will be going with the guide in the before the actually the starting of the journey, he will ask about all the chronic disease or anything he needs to be aware in order to be able to help.
Yeah.
So luckily, our guide was super prepared, also from the medical point of view. So. And we were all sure that whatever will happen with us, he will be able to help us in any case. But also we were lucky that the group was quite healthy, strong, young, and we didn't have major issues except like little altitude issues.
Altitude sickness.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
not that bad, actually. Yeah, it was not that bad because
Speak to
we
yourself. Well, yeah.
no, you were like a strong. You were very strong as well. Come on, don't be shy.
No, the altitude sickness, it's very weird. It's something that you do not
It's
experience.
unusual, right? It's just you cannot explain how you feel. It's just something happening to you, but you cannot express it somehow, right?
And it's arriving super fast.
Mhm.
Like you're okay, and then in another second you feel dizzy and you feel you're losing the focus, headache, well,
You start
panic.
crying.
Yeah,
You have panic.
crying, exactly, starting crying, panicking, breathe issues, breathing. So it's very hard to explain why, how, and also it takes a bit of time to control it. It's not impossible. Obviously, it's possible with a bit of breath control, and once you calm down and maybe take a pill for the headache, so it's fine. But still, once it reach you, it's super fast, super unusual.
I agree. And here I want to also specify that we were very lucky with our guide, Sergei Morenko. He was so experienced and he was the calmness itself. He was the guru of calmness. I was always
Yeah,
making fun of him,
guru.
but actually I was super grateful that he's this way because he was instructing us very precisely what to do, what not to do. He also told us about these symptoms that may happen and what to do in case they occur, and of course to let him know. So that also gave us the confidence that we are with somebody that is taking care of us, that knows what is happening, knows the mountains very well, with such a big experience. So we were definitely also having a safety. We were on the safe side having him next to us, I think.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I'm not sure if you want to mention the other symptoms, which are a bit, reaching after 4,000 and plus meters.
We'll go there with the stages of the summit that we did.
Okay.
Yes. So I want to actually now go into the aspect of discussing what are the main stages. So we arrived at our destination, right? So how does the process looks like, or not the process, but more like how like the days look like? What are the main stages that the climbers or the participants, right, that want to summit a certain mountain need to go through before actually reaching the top?
Oh, well, the whole journey before reaching the top or before starting the summit, it's about acclimatization. So even from the first day, we went to the 2.2K, 2,200 meters, and then we came back and we spent the night into the guest house. And only then we started to climb. Why this is important is that first you go to a higher altitude, your body is in shock, the body starts functioning differently, but you have to come back and to give it time to rest and to recover. and then the body will get used to this altitude easier. So then we climbed to the meteo station, which was 3,600
600.
meters. Yeah, if I remember well. Again, it was the same. Like we put our body in shock, so we had to stop there, get some rest, sleep a night. In order to give to give our to give space, let's say, and rest. Rest is very important on the mountain.
I
Like
would
you don't need
add
to be
here real
everywhere.
quick, sorry to cut you, but I think what we wanted to do is so the body received the shock. You need to let the body process that shock.
Yeah,
You cannot
yeah,
just continue walking or you cannot continue climbing. So the body processes it. She kind of settles
mhm,
in a bit with this shock, and then you can slightly go further, right? So this is the key thing.
yeah,
You
exactly.
don't do things fast, or you just go straight to the top, because otherwise you can, I don't know, anything can happen.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
about taking it very easy, step by step, with increasing the altitude slowly.
Yes, 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 you're perfectly right. Like the body is smart enough to adjust himself to the conditions, but it needs a bit of time. So definitely, it's not advised if you're a beginner or if you did not have any acclimatization in the last week. It's not
Yes.
advised to go to the top because the symptoms could be severe, and the consequences as well. So yeah, so we took it, I guess we took it easier, and we had a couple of days to get adjusted.
So yeah, so you're mentioning correctly that we went to the church, as we call it, because
Yeah.
there was a very beautiful church from the 14th century, on
Mhm.
2,200 meters. Uh, a very nice hike. It was on our first day, so it
Mhm.
was very pleasant. We already were seeing the Kazbek back, from the
Yeah.
from the distance. Say, hey, you, we're gonna reach you soon. But we also took it easy, and then the second day we continued to 3,600, where the meteor station is. Dana, can you tell us more? What is the meteor station and what happened there when we reached it?
Well, meteor station, it's actually an old meteor station. Right now, there is only the building. It's completely empty, obviously, with electricity, but it was kind of transformed into a hostel, but
Yeah,
with very basic conditions.
yeah,
But otherwise, it's just like a camp. There are spaces where you can put the tent. There is some water which it's taken from the nearest glacier, and basically that's it, and toilets and a great view, of course. But yeah, it's just a space where everybody stops, like a base camp where put the tents, and from there everybody starts the training and acclimatization for the upcoming summit.
summit.
Yeah.
And I think another important factor in all this, let's say, picture is the fact that the not temperature, but the climate generally changes so fast in the mountains. I couldn't believe it before until I actually experienced it. We walked to the meteo station. It was like a at least 7 hours hike, I think.
Yes.
7 hours hike. It was very pretty, and then we reached the glacier, and it was actually 1 kilometer of walking on the glacier. So it was also pretty interesting experience, right?
Yeah, indeed. Something new. I never had, never
Very.
experienced it before. Indeed.
And remember, there was some holes where you were basically looking into the nowhere. It was incredible views, right?
Yeah. Actually, the glacier had rivers. So rivers on the top of the ice
Yeah.
and below. Well, below the ice. So the biggest river, they are always below, and there are some cracks. Yes, indeed. The part from the above goes beyond below. Oh my God.
Below. Yeah.
Exactly. And then it falls into like a waterfall, and then obviously a river goes to the city and so on. So yeah, was very very interesting actually, this experience, and stepping over those cracks, seeing
Right.
a waterfall which goes under the ice, like wow, something
It
new.
wasn't Yeah, it was a combination of exciting,
Mhm.
a bit creepy, a bit
Yeah.
overwhelming, a bit like, oh my God, where am I located, right? So it was, but it was really good. And by the way, tell us what kind of equipment we had on our boots so that we can actually walk on the glacier, because alpinists typically have equipment,
Mhm.
various
Yeah.
equipment to deal with certain conditions.
Definitely. So for to be able to walk comfortably on the ice, we use so-called crampons. This is metallical. They are like closed, like this, and you attach it to the boot itself. Sorry, like if I mentioned, like yeah, like closed. Anyway,
I will
you
share
attach it
some
to
pictures soon. Yeah.
yeah, you attach it to the boot itself, and basically you're able to walk on the ice and even to climb on the ice upon a certain degree.
Degree. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, and it's also very, very comfortable to walk on the snow with it because you don't glide. You're like fixed in it, and makes the summit more easier. Yeah, obviously we had the sticks. Yeah,
Yeah.
sticks, crampons for the glacier. That's more or less
That's
the what you need. Now, if we talk about the glacier when we were during the summit, then we would add specific harness with the adjustable leg loops in order to immobilize ourselves and to tie ourselves to the rope together with the group.
yeah.
Why this is important is because, well, we are a team, right? And because we're walking on the glacier, there can be
Portions of the.
some portions, yeah, which they are not visible, but you can fall into a crack, and this is
Yes.
very dangerous. The cracks are very deep, and obviously a very unpleasant experience. So in case something happen, the other members of the group will be able to hold you. So we've been taught how to behave ourselves in such extreme situation, how to immobilize ourselves if someone from our team will fall on the ice or on the snow. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. This was also something new for us, right? Like
Yeah.
all these kind of things and equipment and tying ourselves up, and it was also educational to some extent, right? To learn how to behave and how to survive in the mountains.
I guess at this point everything was educational. No one teach us, in
Yeah.
school or university, and the whole experience was what can I say? Was novelty.
Yeah.
If I
I
say
would
yeah,
say
novelty.
poetry.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely our guide, he was like a walking encyclopedia.
For
That
sure.
he was
Okay.
able to explain us the difference between several types of equipment. He was able to teach us how to behave in several situations, and obviously to be there, even to tie us, to arrange it, to help even with what to wear. We had a joke like, okay, today is sunny, what should we wear? So yeah, the having with you an expert, it's crucial.
I would add here that so if you're an experienced alpinist and you already summited many mountains, of course you can go by yourself, but
Mm.
you feel confident that you can do it. But in case of a beginner or even intermediate participant for such initiatives, definitely an experienced guide would help the process greatly. So
Yeah.
at least that's from our perspective, and we were again very lucky with our guide who was a walking encyclopedia and was just there to answer any questions we had.
Yeah.
But
Maybe.
Diana, we went again because we want to talk about so many things, and I want to
Yeah.
go back to the meteor station, right? Where how many days we spent there, and how did the temperature change in like 1 hour?
Oh, we spent there 3 nights, but I think the first night was a total surprise. When we just arrived, we had the chance to put the tent, to arrange the sleeping bags. We had our lovely, home ready, and then starting the wind, the snow. What a beautiful snow in August, right?
Oh yes, absolutely.
It's the best way to close summer. Yeah, it
I
started
remember.
to
Yeah, go
snow.
ahead. Go ahead.
And if you remember, like during the night, it was snowing even heavier. And
I was
yeah,
about to say that the wind was so strong, I felt like it's gonna take away the tent
yeah, yeah.
with us together. It was crazy.
We had to release the tent like regularly from the snow,
In
and
the snow, yeah, like that.
it
Because it
was
was coming into my face.
yeah.
I'm like waking up and I see like the tent full of snow covering my face, and I'm like, oh my god, where am I?
I think I wake up at 1 or 2 a.m. and went outside and actually started to undig, the snow from the tent, because I was feeling that it's actually falling behind. So I had to undig it and then kind of shake it a bit. And I was like, yeah, that was a journey. That was an interesting experience.
And
But
also it's hard to sleep, right? I mean,
yeah,
on such conditions, it's luckily we had. So here is again the idea where we were happy about having good clothes on because we were not cold, luckily. So we were happy that we didn't have to freeze with under such conditions. We had good sleeping bags. That's also very important. So the sleeping bag actually has to be adjusted
yeah,
according to the environment you're in. So we had to actually buy or rent a sleeping bag which can be used under the conditions of -10 degrees. So
yeah.
it was a really warm one that we were advised to have with us.
True, true. Like talking about the sleeping, lack of sleep. It's another system of the altitude sickness.
Yeah,
Besides the fact that you may have trouble breathing, and even tying your boots can be quite a challenging task.
experience.
Exactly, experience. Lack of sleep. It's a normal reaction of the body until the body gets used to it. So I don't know how about you, but first 2 nights I was not able to sleep at all. Like it was one or
Me
two
neither.
hours.
Me neither.
Yeah, only the last one after the summit, I was able to kind of sleep a bit more normally. But I think it was also then we started to get used to the altitude and to the noise and to the wind, and like everything already was falling into the normal in a way.
Normal ways of mountain environment, right?
Yeah, to feel normal at 3,600 meters.
Yeah, and
Surprisingly.
I remember our guide, right, saying, "Hey, this is all normal. You're in the mountains. What do you expect? Of course, there will be snow, right?" So he was
Yeah.
always having this super calm face and always having answers to any of our questions and always calming us down, to
Yeah, that's about the part, do not have any expectations. Like,
oh
yeah,
yes,
weather, it's unpredictable in the mountain. And even the same day, if at 3,000 meters it's sunny, you just climb at 4,000, it's raining or snowing. And,
yeah,
difference of a couple of hours.
yeah.
It's in the mountains. It's normal. Yeah, indeed, it's normal. I keep repeating myself.
Yeah, but it's like you have to be prepared for it, or rather, don't have any expectations that yeah, I'll have a great weather all along. No, it's you just have to be prepared about anything that comes your way,
True.
um, for
Yeah.
sure. All right,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So that was our first night, basically, right? With all these symptoms that started to appear. So I personally had some headaches. I didn't have much of this mountain sickness, but the headache was definitely present. And of course, the lack of sleep was kind of influencing my body and how I was feeling physically, but it was not that bad. I think it was a combination of being there, experiencing something new, and sharing it with the girls in our tent, right?
I think you felt it the easiest way, low sickness attitude. Um, yeah, you were lucky, or maybe more prepared physically. Who knows? The body is. We're all different.
And I believe even Sergey was mentioning it's not really clear how some people are behaving this way or
Yeah,
that way. It's really so individual. You
yeah,
cannot just say these are the 5 symptoms that you will experience. No, you can experience 0 or you experience even 10. It's just very individual, but you have to be aware that this can happen. That's it, right?
true, true, true. Definitely. Definitely.
And by the way, we were also very surprised to see so many groups of people, and generally alpinists and people engaged into such activities. Right? We had like a small kitchen in the meteo station because Diana was mentioning it was more like a hostel. So
Mhm.
there was a possibility to rent a room in that hostel, although they had completely basic, commodities.
Yeah,
We decided
basic
to create a
conditions.
tent. Yeah.
Yeah, true. Basic conditions, and I would say quite pricey for
Right.
such conditions. Yeah. But about the people who you meet there, to be honest, that was a moment when I was a bit shocked and surprised, and pleasant surprise that we met a lot of mature people,
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
career, with families, already, with some plans. There were people who were preparing for Everest, and this was the second
Yes.
step, let's say. Um, a lot of people from Ukraine and Poland. Surprisingly, I
Yeah.
was I was expecting maybe more from Europe, but no, Ukraine, Poland, and then later in the last day, we saw some Europeans as well. But surprisingly, people are all like brothers and sisters. There is no difference from where are you coming,
Yeah.
as long as you are in trouble, where you just come, freezing from outside. They'll offer you a tea,
Hmm.
or maybe will offer you some help or an advice, and everybody's sharing suggestions on when it's better to climb, or maybe it's better to wait another day. I was surprised about this, human relationship between people.
Yeah.
I don't know, no jealousy, no ego, nothing, and that was actually wonderful to see. And obviously, we made great friends, which, to be honest, I miss them like crazy. And I would give anything to go back and to repeat this experience, but it's just wow. So
Back then it didn't seem like you want to to repeat it, but now after you actually process it, you understand what happened to you. You feel so empowered somehow and so inspired,
yeah,
right, with everything that you've experienced. But that's a great point. I agree with you. Like it felt like we're a super big family, and there was this super small kitchen where we had to actually fit in, and somehow we did manage to fit in, and it felt like we knew each other for a life, and we're sharing our experience, and everybody was asking, hey, how is it going, how is it outside, what
yeah.
are you planning? So it was great. It was some so new for me, but at the same time so warm, the
Mm-hmm.
feeling that we're getting from these discussions and so on. And everybody, had their food, and there was like some small kind of cutlery there. Anyways, it was great. And some of the groups also hanged their flags, so you can actually see, how what nationalities
We're
uh,
there, yeah.
were there, and what groups were seeing. And by the way, I want to mention that while we were going to the meteor station, we met a group of Moldovans actually that were already coming back. They were able to do the summit. So, we were just exchanging a few words, and we were happy to see some of our fellow citizens as well going to such experiences. And by the way, Tatiana in the chat is mentioning that Poles are crazy about mountaineering. So it's not surprising that we've seen so many Polish people in the meteor station preparing for the summit.
You see, that was something new for me for some reason, but yeah, it's good
I
to
mean,
know.
for me too, but now we know, right? After we
Good to
experienced
know.
it, and somebody also confirmed it for us.
Hmm.
Cool. So tell me, so after this interesting night with full of snow, we wake up and we're like, oh my God, where are we? Why there's so much snow? And the wind actually continued throughout the day. So tell us, how did the second day look for us? And what did we do on the second day in terms of acclimatization?
On the second day, when you open your tent and you see everything is in white, it's like magic.
It's August.
It's August and everything is in white, and you take your warmest coat that you have with gloves and
Great.
yes, exactly, three layers, and then you go out of the tent. Actually, in the morning it was still a bit windy, if you remember, so we could not go to the training. So
Mhm.
we had to wait a couple of hours, I think, up until lunch or something,
Exactly.
in order to the weather to calm down. So the task was to get ourselves acclimatized for the next step for the summit itself. So we had to climb to 4,200, but because the weather was quite unstable,
Mhm.
and the journey to 4,200, it's a couple of hours, our guide did not take the risk, so we went only to a shorter journey up to the mountain until 3,900. Like we visited a little church. There is a little chapel there, like beautiful. But yeah, even at that altitude, it was extremely windy.
Yeah.
Quite difficult to climb up the hill, with 45 degrees. I don't know how to call that, difference, let's say.
Inclination, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was not easy, but it was necessary because we desperately needed to prepare the body for the summit. So basically, yeah, the second day was about training and then coming back and obviously resting as much as possible.
Yeah. I
Because
was,
because our guide was following very almost every half an hour, every hour, the weather. So next day, Wednesday, was supposed to have a nice weather. So that's why we needed to get rest in order to be
potential.
prepared for the biggest day. Yeah.
Yeah, but if we stick here for a bit, I want to actually mention because it was a bit surprising to see small churches at such big altitudes. And I'm not sure if it's specific for
Mhm.
Georgia only or for other countries, because we didn't really summit any other mountains, but it was very pleasantly surprising for us to see churches in various spots, right? So
Yeah.
2,200, or something at 3,000. Then this was at 3,900, and it was even connected to some ropes just in case the wind is too strong not to take it away. It was so interesting, but it's indeed true that the wind was very very strong, and our guy decided that we'll just do this particular
Mhm.
hike to 3,900, and we'll just go back in order to at least give the body another small shock to get
Yeah.
acquainted with the new altitude.
I noticed that Georgians, they're very religious. So most probably this little chapel was built to be closer to God, maybe,
Yeah.
and also in a mountain where usually people hike. So maybe that would be necessary. Actually, our guide was saying that a couple of weeks ago, even the priest climbed there in that little chapel
Indeed.
and had a little how can I say religious.
Ceremony.
Yeah, ceremony, exactly, thank you. So yeah, so I think even the priests, they're coming there, and for the biggest holidays, they're holding ceremonies, so which is beautiful actually.
Yes, yes. It was
Hmm.
very beautiful to see this, and people, and mainly Georgians, though they were actually always at every chapel or every kind of cross, they were stopping and they were praying, or they were saying a few
Brilliant.
words just to kind of get the encouragement, right? So it was a beautiful, it was a bit symbolic to see that, and we were just a bit surprised to see it, but still, happy to experience it, right?
Hmm.
So yeah,
Hmm.
indeed, the next day. So again, in such conditions, right? So when the weather is changing so much, the guide is the one deciding, right? So
Yeah.
if he feels there is a danger somewhere, he's never gonna risk anything, right? So he decided that we are just going to go there and go back, and that will be it. And then we'll see how the weather evolves. Because if the weather would have stayed bad, we would probably not continue in the way we did in the following
Exactly.
day.
Exactly. And that brings me back to the expectations that I was saying in the beginning.
Yes.
If the weather is bad for the entire week, and the guide decides not to climb at all, like, you have to obey and you have to return back to the guest
Absolutely.
house, because safety is the most important factor. So if it's not safe, don't be disappointed, but that's not going to happen. So it's something that we also had to accept from the beginning, and not to have any crisis, but it's a reality. It can happen, and then you just try another year. For
Well, exactly. So we have to have no expectation, first of all, about whatever is going to happen in this trip. Secondly, we had to accept the fact that we may potentially not do the summit because of this and this and this.
exactly,
And we should have been okay with that. So there is,
exactly.
just be mindful that there are very many conditions that can contribute to a certain outcome when you're going on such an expedition. So, that's it, right? Okay, so this was the second day, right? And we still had
Mhm.
the weather, we still had the snow, and so on, and then basically the third day, right? What happened? How did the
The
how
big
did
day.
how did the let's say the process developed in our third day?
Well, for the big day, we have been asked to have our backpacks prepared with all the equipment and obviously clothes.
Close.
So yeah, we had to wake up very early, something like 1:30 a.m. to have a breakfast. I'm not sure if I remember well, maybe the time.
It's like in a
2
dream,
a.m., 1
right?
a.m. I don't know. It was super early.
I just want to add, for me, it was something new that if you're doing any summit, you actually have to wake up in the night. You don't wake up at 5, you wake up at 1 a.m. and you start
You know
the
why?
actual summit at 2 or 3 max. So this is how it actually happens. So that was something new for me. So yes, Diana, you didn't dream. We did wake up at 1. We went to the kitchen and we
I
had
know
breakfast.
the secret. I know the secret. It's actually you wake up so early so you can start your journey still sleepy, so you have less chances to actually go back.
Exactly, so that you don't fight it, you just continue with
Yeah, you
it.
just follow it. No, leaving the jokes aside, yeah, there is a reason behind why they wake up so early.
Yeah.
First of all, the weather it's better in the morning or in the first half of the day in the mountains than in the afternoon, so that's one of the reason. Secondly, if there is some snow, so let's say it's still a bit frozen, so it's a bit more stable as well in order to be able to climb up. And yeah, and indeed it was a very long journey, so it is safe to start in the night and then return before the fall. I think that's
Oh,
also
that sounds right. Yeah.
it's also a factor, yeah. So we wake up very early, we managed to eat something, and then we had to start.
On this note, I'll be happy to share one video of only when we started. It was like super dark, and you'll also see that it's required to have a certain light in on the
Yeah,
forehead, right? Because of course it's night, and you need to you need to see where you're going.
definitely. Yeah.
So I'll be happy to share it. It was just like half an hour since we started our summit, let's say. Okay.
Hmm.
Куда мы зашли там за 35 минут?
Все хорошо? Ир.
Yeah, we're adjusting the lights.
Мы на 3900.
Вот так вот.
Сергей спокойный, как всегда. Нас ведет.
Как библиотека.
И вот гора, но вы ее не видите.
Yeah, so it was in Russian, so I was just mentioning that it's 4 a.m. We're going, and our guide is is calm as always. And
Yeah,
everybody
it
was
was
just
super
adjusting
calm.
their equipment, and we were just walking. And actually, I don't think we've mentioned, but our group was very small, and it also
Mhm.
contributed to a good outcome, I think, in overall terms, because we were two. There were another two people from Ukraine, so we were four in terms of the actual group, and our guide was the fifth person, so we were five altogether
Yeah.
doing the summit. Mhm.
Yeah, indeed.
So as you've seen on the video, we had the big backpacks because we had to have the equipment that would be necessary to have when we are in higher altitude, especially the security ropes, and also all of the other things while walking on the ice and everything else. And of course, a big pot of warm tea was very, very
Mhm.
necessary. In the mountains, Coke, Snickers, and all these goodies were our best friends. And they surprisingly they were going so well. They were like we were eating them with so much pleasure. Like, I don't think I will be able to do that now. Well, I mean, in the city, but
I'm still eating them. I'm still eating them.
but there they were going very successfully, you know, and helping us with their energy levels.
Yeah, true. Chocolate is gold in
Yeah.
the mountains. Chocolate is gold.
All right, so continue. So we started at 2 a.m., right? And we continued and we walked.
Yeah. We took the path to the glacier, and the question would be, how do we know where to walk in the dark? And again, here I guess we were kind of lucky because after the snow, obviously the path is not visible, but we had two other groups who departed just half an hour
For us.
about before. Yeah.
Before us.
Before us, exactly. So they were the bravest to actually make the path in the dark. I think our guide was explaining at a certain point that more experienced alpinists they go first because it takes more physical strength to actually, you know, create this path from the scratch. And obviously they're more experienced, so they will deal with all the let's say
Unpredictable situations.
unpredictable situation. Exactly. So for us as beginners, we decided to wait a bit, to depart a bit later, but it was easier, you know, on the way because the path was already done. We knew where exactly to step, where is water, where is not, where are the rocks, and it was much easier actually to walk. So yeah, you can have your light here, and you just follow the steps of someone else or the steps of your colleague, obviously, because we were going one after another, and then slowly. The speed is actually very important.
Yeah.
You have to be always slow and always keeping the same tempo. So no one needs heroes, you know, to run in front, because you will lose your energy from the beginning, and then basically you will crash somewhere in the middle of the road. So yeah, we were advancing in a slow pace, but very surely. And plus, obviously, all the weight that we were carrying in backpack, plus the temperature outside, plus the equipment, it makes everything a bit more challenging.
Yeah, so on this note, I will share another video, and this one is already around 6 a.m. when the sun was slightly going,
Oh yeah,
slightly going out, and we actually had to change our, not to change, but put some more equipment on ourselves in order to be able to walk on the glacier. So let's share it with the audience.
True. That was an interesting moment, actually. Actually, that's the sunset. Sunrise, pardon. The sunrise.
So that was me basically saying it's 6 a.m. at 4,100 meters altitude. So we arrived and there was already some light, and we were putting some more equipment in order to continue the journey.
Yeah. That's the spot where all the groups are stopping, having a break, and then obviously equipping themselves with harness, with the rope, with crampons, and the sticks here for walking. So there was a moment when we had to learn how to wear those metallic crampons on the boots, which is not was not an easy thing, you know. We were walking on high heels all our lives, but that's different.
And now all of a sudden, right, some metallic thing on your feet.
Exactly.
And actually, from this point, we were told that the glacier, there are portions where it's a bit sensitive, let's say, or there is a probability that it may crack. So we actually already had all the equipment on us and the security ropes, and but luckily we were walking along the path that was already created for us. So, and we were walking super slowly because we were instructed to do that. So just like very carefully, as you correctly said, no heroic things here. We were just walking slowly and consistently, one after another, and I think we continued for 2-3 more hours until we went already up on the actual mountain, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, yes. From this moment onwards, as we were kinda immobilized by the rope on a
Yeah.
specific distance between each other, there is no way how you can advance or run, or and it's not advised. And obviously, you cannot take a step away as well, because it's dangerous. So we
Yes.
had to be always in a line and always stick to the rope. So
I also have to admit that when the sun came up, there was basically no wind, so we were quite happy about that. And actually, the next video that I'm going to share is around 2-3 hours after the last video I shared. So we already climbed at least 300 meters, and you can see the beautiful views and how we are enjoying ourselves in our short break.
oh yes, that tea break.
8 утра. Какая у нас высота? 4400. Это все. Диана, Нурок, что скажешь?
Дай чай, сама дай чай.
Чай будет. А что-то сказать хочешь?
Нет, дай чай.
Катя, наш сегодняшний
Гость.
Я тебе дам чай обязательно, но я хочу просто это все снять, потому что это...
That was a very difficult point.
Какое у нас солнце еще сегодня.
Yeah, so tell me, Diana, what was going through your mind in this moment?
Oh my God. So just for the record, in orange, that's me. The entire orange.
What did you recognize with all the glasses or whatever we had on, right?
Oh my God. Well, first of all, the glasses, never ever take out the glasses when you're in the mountains on altitude, because the UV light is so powerful that it can burn your eyes, and it's very painful. So definitely we were not able to take the out of the face. But at that point, to be honest, I was so thirsty. I wanted tea desperately, and I started to have headaches, like painful headaches. Every time I was stopping, I was having headaches. And obviously, after a piece of chocolate, it was better. But it was quite tough. And if you remember, our guide was even mentioning that while you're moving, you will not feel the headache or any other side effects from the altitude sickness disease. But once you stop, specifically when you sit down or even lay down, it gets worse and worse. And I think at this point we can talk about consequences, right? We can talk about side effects. Yeah. So on a higher altitude, and now I'll be maybe too honest, on a higher altitude, you can vomit, you can have diarrhea, you can have headaches, you can have trouble breathing, you can lose your focus, your orientation. Yeah, there are people which are actually falling into a state of I'll not say coma, but in a state where you actually look at them, but they're blunt. So this point is very dangerous, as our guide explained us, and he was checking on us all the time. How we are reacting on how are our symptoms? Are we okay or not okay? Because if there is such a point which is arriving, you have to return back. It's mandatory.
And on this note, if you're returning, all of the group returns. It's not like you're returning by yourself, and that's a rule, an alpinist rule.
True. True, true. But as I was saying before, like on the mountain, everybody are friendly. So in case there is a group which is returning, but someone wants to continue, they have kind of an arrangement between the groups that they can pick up one or two members and then continue climbing, and the others are returning. But only if you kind of cross someone on the way. If you don't, you don't. You just have to return back with the entire
And
group.
this is what happened to us, right? We saw a group on the way, and there was an alpinist who really wanted to do the summit because she tried previously but was not successful.
Yeah.
And our guide simply asked a few questions and
And
explained to us how it works and how it like how is it how what are the unwritten rules in such
yeah.
situations, and she joined us basically. Mhm.
True. Well, yeah, it's kind of like natural. You help each other, um, extreme situations. But yeah, that stop was extremely painful. And now I'm asking you for tea, and you were filming me. I was so angry. Okay, now I'm grateful because you have a video. But that moment, I was so angry on you and so frustrated because I wanted tea.
Oh, I gave you the tea, but I had to do the video first. I
Yes,
was
yes,
actually thinking, it's like my hands were freezing. I actually had like two pairs of gloves because
yeah,
if you had only one, you would not even realize how fast your hands are freezing. And then you can just basically lose that moment. And it's super important to have very, very warm gloves.
yeah.
Um,
True. Once you're holding the sticks, like the fingers are not moving, and
yes,
I have felt the same. They were freezing, so I had to change the winter gloves, the one which were huge, but
huge.
they were super warm. Yeah. So obviously you just don't take it out. That's it.
Exactly. But well, for the video, I had to real quick. So I was trying at least for a few seconds to record it. And now I'm grateful I did. But back then I was like, I know you are not, you didn't care about that video. So after I did that filming, I gave you, of course, the tea because I didn't want an unhappy Diana on the top of the mountain.
No, you don't.
And I was mentioning in the Russian, but we are already at 4,400 meters.
Yeah.
And I think it depended on the guide, but we were doing breaks regularly because it was super important to have them for the tea, for some snack, to get the power. And they were actually super helpful. I think, because at times you felt, I cannot do this anymore, but then you kind of sit for 5 minutes. You take some tea, and then somehow from somewhere those powers appear and you
Yeah.
continue. And I think that mindset that you were also mentioning, this determination that I have to get there, it's just a little bit, I'm gonna find it. And so it's a combination of stuff which kind of keeps you on moving, right?
And it's also important to mention that the group will move with the speed of the slowest participant.
That is correct.
So we always had to adjust to the slowest participants, and obviously, when someone needed a break, regardless who is the first or the last one,
Yes.
we had to stop. So yeah, I guess this summit was the best exercise of a teamwork.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think you can have something like this, in real life, daily life, only in extreme conditions.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. By the way, Rodika Talpa is sending us greetings. Hi, Rodika. Thanks for joining the call. And by the way, and just to add a note here, the guide also instructed us that anytime there is a discomfort or you want to say something or you feel like you need to stop, as you say, you speak up, you say stop,
Yeah.
right? Or you make a sound or something. Like, we are super careful. So the teamwork is vital, and we all look at each other, we all feel each other, and we all going um, to the, continuing the road. Mhm.
Do you want to talk about the moment when if you need to the toilet and you're stick to the rope with the entire group? Guys, I'm shy as everybody else, but I never imagined that if you will be on the mountain, it's actually forbidden to untie yourself from the rope and actually, go 1 meter or 2 meters away to do your stuff. So if you're going on a such expedition, just be ready for that. You have to adjust to the conditions, but it's very dangerous. It's not allowed, but things happen. Just be ready.
By the way,
I-
Christina Dorov is having a question about the equipment, and I think we forgot to mention that. But thanks for the question. We did not carry. So she's asking where did we have to carry all of the stuff on our backpacks, even in the summit and on the meteor station. So there is a trick here and a very helpful not process, but service that is being provided. So to the meteor station, there is a service, there is a horse service that is actually carrying your big backpacks. So we had a big bag and our backpacks as well. So in the backpacks, we took only the necessary things while we paid that service so that the horses takes the heavy things and all the equipment to the meteor station. So, and since we spent 3 days in the meteor station, we left them in our tents. And during the summit, we only took the necessary things that we needed. We had to be very careful what we take with us because imagine it's many hours of walking with something heavy on your back. So, but if to answer your question, then no, we didn't have to carry all of the heavy stuff on ourselves all the time. Diana, would you like to add anything else to it?
No. That's you explained it. You explained it all. And on the summit, we took the minimum stuff even from our wearing. Yeah. So
Yes.
we have been instructed what kind of pieces to leave in the tent because they were not necessary. And in this kind of journey, every gram is very important. So we didn't take anything that we did not specifically needed because everything you will feel it like 10 times heavier once you reach the top, and it gets even more and more complex. And to be honest, like speaking also about the stuff, at a certain point closer to 5,000 there was kind of a plateau where we had to stop, and we had even to leave our backpack and some other stuff, and we went the last piece of the summit. We just were with our ice axe and one stick, so minimum stuff because it was even more difficult.
Before we continue the journey while going to the summit, I'm going to share another video where we also had a break and we were already at a higher altitude, I think 4,600. So I want to share these nice views that we've seen with our audience.
Oh, that's beautiful.
So basically, we were just sitting on a slope like this, seeing super many mountains around us and enjoying the serenity. And I actually have to mention that during the walk, nobody was speaking. I think it was probably the energy saving mode that we all had. Like we were just so focused not to fall anywhere. not to slide anywhere and to kind of preserve the energy because we were walking already for like 10 hours. Or not 10, but like at least 8. And there was still some way to go to the summit. So it was quite interesting to remember now how everybody was super silent and just like very, very diligently walking on the mountain hiking.
In such conditions, you try to save every piece of energy that you have, and it was even very difficult to breathe, not even to speak. So I don't know how about you, but for me, like every step, it was kind of, I gather all the forces I have and I make another step. And then I gather all the forces I have and make another step and so on. It was a continuous struggle with my body. And I was telling to my body that you can do that. You can do this step. You can climb this mountain.
200 meters left.
Yes, exactly. And even though we had a greater goal, and sometimes the peak was so far that it was even painful to look, into that peak. But if you focus on every step at the time with patience and proper mindset, you were able to actually make it. And you're surprised from where are you taking those forces? Because at a certain point I thought, okay, I cannot do that anymore. Like I'm dead. But no, 2 minutes of break, 5 minutes of break, and then kind of you start over, and surprisingly, I'm moving.
Again,
Right?
right? Again, I have to give credit to our guide who was constantly on the positive notes, like, okay, let's have a break. Hey, who wants some tea? Let's have a Snickers. Let's have this. Let's have that. And we're still not talking because we're already getting extremely exhausted. And that every step what we were doing was so hard, and we were kind of putting ourselves together. I think everybody had this transformative process in their minds. Okay, so there's just a little bit. Please get yourself together. Everybody knows for themselves what happened through their mind, but the guide definitely. And he also took some pictures. When at some point I even decided, oh no, it's enough of videos and pictures. I just want to kind of get there finally.
Victoria, you have here an interesting question. What were you thinking during the difficult moments? Tell us. What was in your mind? Come
To
on,
be
share us
honest,
with it.
I had many things, but at some point I remembered my sister, and I really felt that she's supporting me in that, and I knew that she's super proud of where I am right now at that time. And that also gave me forces to continue, right? And I was thinking about my mom as well, because she's going through some difficult period, and I knew that she's rooting for me, and my dad. So it was a combination of things. It went to my family. It went to some personal let's say, experience that I had in the past that are kind of coming back to me, and I was reflecting on them. It's an avalanche of things that came to my mind, if I can summarize it this way. And for you, Diana?
Well, for me, I was repeating myself, I think, at every step that I can do that. I was thinking about my daughter, that maybe she'll be proud of me. Yeah, my mom was very angry that I'm there. She basically sweared and forbidden me to go
I
on the
wouldn't say
weekend.
she's angry. I think she was worried. She was rather worried for you.
Yes, okay, let's say that. But yeah, like kind of it crossed my mind, like I know I didn't receive so much support, but I knew that I have to reach the top, because that was my dream, and my dream was important. But yeah, it was a lot of talk to myself. Yeah, Diana, you can do it. You're strong enough. You're gonna do it. I'm proud of you. And I was repeating myself, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Okay, another step. You can do it.
What also came to my mind, actually, at some point, I was like, I stopped for like 2 seconds. I'm like, what the hell am I doing here? Why did I decided to come
Yeah.
here? Why can't I be just in Egypt on the beach relaxing? So I have to admit that also came to my mind. But I was like, hey, you're doing it for a greater purpose. You're here. It's just a bit. You're doing great. So all these things, and then still talking to myself to get those thoughts away from me, right? So it was funny as well.
The why question, I think everybody has a why question.
Yeah.
But everybody finds answers for themselves. I
Correct.
would not be able to share exactly why did I do that.
Exactly. Everybody had. It was most importantly to keep ourselves on the security rope and continue the road, right?
Sure.
That was our goal. And as you correctly said, we arrived at this. It was kind of
A plateau.
kind of a platform, which was
Yeah,
like
platform.
4,900. So it was already 100 meters away from the peak, where we had a longer break. We had our tea as well. So this is where we left our backpacks, because the platform was big enough to leave all the unnecessary things, and we only took the ice axe.
Ice axe, yeah.
And,
My favorite one. My favorite piece of the expedition.
Yeah, after I shared the last video with while we were on the peak, I'll share the pictures with the audience, because they're so beautiful. So we left the backpacks, and we just went on basically the last push we needed to do in order to reach the peak, 100 meters. But the degree of that mountain, or the inclination, was extremely big. Actually, it was very demanding, and considering the fact that we were completely out of any powers already,
Yeah.
we thought that okay, so it's 409,000. So in bigger terms, we are just 100 meters away. Let's give it a try. So we really put all our forces together to somehow go there.
I think the degree was around 45 degrees, as Sergey was mentioning, and to be honest, that was also another moment when we were extremely lucky because it was snowing just the night before that. In a normal condition, when the snow melts and there is ice on that specific portion, you need a more advanced skill set in order to climb it. So, in case there was the chance to be in ice, we would never climb it as beginners. Yeah. So, due to the snow, we were lucky. So we were able, just with the equipment we had, with the knowledge we had, we were able to actually slowly, super slowly, to get to the top, because that was the hardest part ever.
That was the hardest portion, indeed.
Yeah.
And it was around 1 p.m. So imagine we started around 2:30. I think it was 2:30 a.m. when we started the summit, and we arrived at 1 p.m. So we were actually working for so many hours to reach that top. But when we reached it, I remember Diana was like, "Hey Diana, we are on top." Whatever.
Yes.
Let me share first the video of what we've seen on the top, and then we can continue describing our emotions.
A lot of snow.
The flag.
Clouds. Our colleagues.
So for you to understand, this portion on the peak is super small, so there cannot be that super many people, right? So we were two groups, I think, there, and we were so exhausted, we didn't really understand we're actually finally reached that peak. I feel. I said, Diana, give me the flag. let's take some pictures. We're gonna regret not doing it. So I actually had to convince you for a bit, Diana. Hey, we're on the peak, and he's like, okay, whatever. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I guess at that point I was a bit dizzy. I was extremely happy that I reached there, but I was a bit dizzy and I was super emotional.
I remember.
Yeah, I had to take a couple of minutes, alone somewhere there in the corner to actually realize what's going on, to process my emotions. Surprisingly, when I reached to the top, I remember that moment very well. Headache stopped, everything stopped. It just was the fact that I could not believe that we are actually there. I could not believe that we actually, we finished climbing. Yeah. So and the view was so overwhelming. Those clouds, we saw the peak of our mountains. Our guide even showed us the peak of Elbrus, which you can see it like very, very far away. So it was, I don't know, just breathtaking in a way. So
yeah, while you speak, I'm sharing some of the pictures for our audience, as I was promising before. I mean, the pictures is one thing, like being there and seeing that. And also when our guide indeed told us that, you can see Elbrus, you can see other mountains around. It was just incredible. It was it's a feeling I never experienced before, for sure.
And to be honest, like a certain point, I could not hold my emotions. I started to cry and be grateful. I was talking to myself. I was talking to God, the universe, like whatever. Being grateful that I'm actually here, that I'm actually survived to see that. I was waiting for this moment for many months. I was preparing for many months. For me personally, it was very close to actually not get there. because I was sick just a couple of weeks before the trip, and I was never sure if I will be able to climb. After COVID, you can wait, I don't know, expect everything. And just 3 weeks after COVID, climbing in a mountain, I have to be crazy to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, the whole experience, the way how you feel is just it's very difficult to explain it in words. Even when I'm looking at the pictures right now, I still cannot believe that actually
But
happened.
this happened to us, right?
Yes. It feels like I'm watching a movie and talking about the movie.
By the way, Diana, this is the picture which I was mentioning. So this is the platform which I
Yeah.
was mentioning where we left our backpacks, and we had to go up the hill. So basically, this kind of hill that you see behind us is the last portion which we had to undertake in order to reach the peak. It kind of seems not very big, but it did take at least 1 hour and a half to get there.
Yeah.
Look,
Indeed.
but look at the views. I mean, I cannot believe we were there. Seriously, feels like a dream.
Yeah. So I think those were the first pictures that we took just once arriving. Then
Happy
later-
Diana.
Yeah.
After the emotions have passed a bit, I think you are finally able to take some proper pictures.
Yeah. True. I guess I needed a bit of moments. That's actually the meteo station and the
Yeah,
base.
this is where the tents, and this is where we were sleeping, and this is the building that we were mentioning, right? And the glacier behind it, right behind it.
Yeah, indeed.
This
And
is what it looked like. Sorry to cut you. This is what it looked like before the snow kind of covered everything and the base camp altogether, right?
the cracks in the glacier.
Yeah. Happy team, huh? After successfully climbing the mountain.
Yeah, indeed. Actually, talking about the whole journey, even the way back was not so easy. It was quite challenging as well once returning back to the camp. I don't know how about you, but actually, going down for me was a bit more complex than certain parts in climbing up. And here the issue is that the whole pressure goes onto the knees.
Exactly.
So again, a part of the preparation as well. That's why I'm saying like running or jogging or cycling is to prepare the legs, not on the entire core, but also the knees to hold the pressure once you're going down, because that's a couple of hours again in the same tempo, with stops obviously, and it's also quite dangerous as well.
It's
Well,
still dangerous. Like the way up and down is still dangerous.
it is. You have to be prepared for everything.
So yeah, so if we took it all together, we had 17 hours of going up and down.
The entire journey. True.
I think the last half an hour to the base camp, I felt like I can't. Like my knees were probably crashing slowly. We were going through those places like I cannot. I almost started crying. I was like, I cannot. I want to just go home. Go home. I mean, into the base camp.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last portion of this whole summit was already the going back part was a bit more challenging. Um, but once we actually arrived there, I remember somebody just helping us with the backpacks. As I said, hey, can you take them? I was like, absolutely, please take them away from me. That was the best time where we can actually take them off and finally reach our tent. I think that feeling was pretty incredible, to be honest. You were like, okay, so what just happened? We actually went up and down and we're fine, and we managed to overcome various interesting situations, challenging as well on all levels, and that was pretty good. And I remember after we went to the kitchen, right, to have a dinner, we were already feeling much happier and kind of relaxed, and starting to feel already the fact that we came here and we did what we had to do. So we were finally able to breathe a bit more.
Well, yeah. Once returning back, I don't know how about you, but I was not. I was super tired, but I didn't want to sleep. There was so much
You're
excitement.
still overwhelmed. You're still very overwhelmed from
Yeah.
what you're seeing and from what your experiences.
I wanted to talk to people, to kind of like share the impressions, to ask others how did they felt. You know, it was overwhelming. Overwhelming.
Extremely. It was so overwhelming. You don't know what's happening to you, seriously. And
Someone is asking if we climb some other peaks.
yeah, can you take it?
Apart from Snezhka, which is 1,600 meters, Victoria went on another peak on Tenerife, right?
I
Um,
went to Teide in Tenerife this spring, but I didn't climb it the full thing. I went with a funicular and then I went a portion, so it was not really a climbing as a summit as it happened in Kazbek. But I think the preparation for us more looked like on a physical level. So we were running, right? And Diana was mentioning cycling. Diana was also doing some climbing on her own.
yeah.
We were just preparing physically for it. We didn't necessarily go to some other peaks or in the mountains to prepare for it.
And also Tatiana is asking for the next plan, Mont Blanc.
Woo, lots. I was actually. We were asked this question when we came back and on the way back to the base camp, and I felt, hey, let me recover first, and then we can talk. At least for me. So don't ask me now anything about that. I have to first recover physically and mentally, and then
Yeah.
we'll see. But maybe Diana is already ready. I'm not sure.
Yeah, talking about me, I was dreaming about Kilimanjaro, and I'm still very decided to do it somewhere, I guess, in the winter. But Mont Blanc is also super interesting, but
Intriguing.
only for summer. So let's say I have already. Victoria is. I still need to convince her.
Recovering.
I have already some ideas in my mind, and yes, I will continue practicing. So if my mom will see this video, she will hate me.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, mom. Indeed.
No, but we understand, of course, that they are all worried for us, and they imagine the worst when they think about such an expedition. And definitely, we were also not expecting some level of difficultness that we've experienced there. But at the end of the day, we managed, and also due to the mindset that we were mentioning before, mindset is crucial in such expeditions, along with the physical preparation and having all the right pieces together for this. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Diana, I can't imagine we're already talking for 1.5 hours. I would be happy to continue. If you have any other questions, feel free to share them in the chat. We'll go to the section of myths and truths, and we would like to share some light into those aspects. We already covered a lot of things, but we'll try to go over them real quick and maybe briefly discuss some of the stereotypes maybe that people have about alpinism, about going to the mountains, and about various aspects of such activities. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first statement is that everyone suffers from altitude sickness, or how they like to shorten it, AMS, acute mountain sickness. Is that true, Diana? What do you think from your experience, or from what Sergey was telling us?
Well, yes and no. As our guide was explaining us that everybody is very individual. You can either experience it or not, and it doesn't depend on your age, sex, color, religion, or whatever. It's just the ability of the body adjusting to the attitude. If you're lucky enough, maybe you will not have it, or you'll have it very mild.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not so lucky, you'll have it more severe and nasty. Depends.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Diana, for clearing that up. The next one is getting to the summit is the end goal. So if I would take this one, I would say no. The actual experience is the way to that summit, because when you're there, you just stay there for 10 minutes and you go back. But the actual challenge and all of the processes that are going in you, around you, is actually what is the journey to that summit. So definitely for us, it was not the end goal. It was the whole process. It was the whole experience that made it so incredible and so transformative and so much enlarging for us, or our horizons and so on. So it's definitely not about the peak. It's about the journey.
I would agree with you here, 100%.
Okay. And then alpine climbing or hiking takes a lot of experience.
Well, judging by us, but by our experience, not necessarily. I used to have the same idea. Like, yeah, in order to go to climb a peak, you have to be expert, or you have to be super trained, or you have to be able to, I don't know, resist 12 hours without sleep or without food, whatever. Actually, not. You have to be physically ready, definitely. But in this kind of experience, having the proper guide who will instruct you and help you at every step, you will be able to make it yourself. Definitely, I would advise a couple of months before that, maybe 6, if it's even better, to start preparing, like basically, as I said, either actively swimming, actively running, cycling. Climbing in some walls also will help, obviously, but it's not mandatory. Not for this kind of mountain, okay? Let's speak about mountains which are around 5,000 meters. If we talk about 6, 7, and obviously higher Everest, then definitely there is different requirement, different skill set needed for those peaks. So that's the whole summary.
Yeah.
Based on personal feelings, and then obviously information gathered around.
Thank you. And then alpine climbers always carry huge and heavy backpacks. So if I can take this one, then it's not the case. We experienced the fact that we were able to hire, right, the service of horses, which is pretty, actually, it's very organized and everybody was using it. Yeah, it's pricey, but when you want to kind of feel comfortable of climbing at 4,000 meters without having too much of a heaviness on your back, then you're willing to pay those money, and the horses are arriving at the place where you can just pick up the backpack, and that was very, very helpful, and we were very surprised to see how organized this is and how actually useful it was for us as well. So not necessarily, yes, you have to carry things, but together with your guide and with the team, you just decide on the most important things you have to take with us, because as Diana mentioned many times, every piece, you feel it on your back when you walk for 10 hours. So the less you take, the better.
No makeup, no dresses on the mountains,
No high
heels.
heels. That's for sure.
Definitely.
All right. Okay, let's continue. You have to eat specific food in order to be fit for the summit and for the mountain environment, even in advance and on the spot.
Well, in advance, while being home, I think eating healthy, that's it's mandatory condition in order to be healthy in general and to be, let's say, physically prepared. But on the mountain, that's a different story. On the mountain, considering that there are no conditions to actually cook there, definitely either you can eat those pre-prepared, little packs that you just boil some boiled water and it's ready, or you can cook some basic stuff like pastas, for example, with tuna. I love it.
Oh, I remember that. Oh my God, our favorite food.
Yeah, because we had a little. How do we call that in English?
Like a gas
Yes, the little yeah.
Yes, pot, I would say. I'm not sure exactly, but where you can cook small,
Yeah,
have small
little
pots
pot.
and
Yeah,
cook. Mhm.
a super little pot where you can cook easily some pastas just to have some warm food or some soup. So we were using that, but also to consider that on the mountains the humidity is super high, so that's why many of the products are getting altered very easily. So bread will alter very easily and other products. So yeah, it's not ideal. We had to eat a lot of cheese, chocolate,
Oh,
yeah, Coke. It's not the healthiest diet, let's say, but it's very caloric in order to give you extra energy to resist, and obviously for the body to warm it up and get used to the altitude. Um, Again, in our case, the guide was advising us and preparing us the food. It was a part of the service, so we did not have to actually buy or carry it and so on. It was prepared there, so he knew exactly what would be more convenient in which conditions and so on.
he even mentioned one thing I remember after we came back from the summit. The next day we actually had coffee. He suggested coffee, and I was like, "Hey, why didn't you suggest coffee before?" Because in the first days he didn't say that, and I said, "Is that strategic?" And he said, "Yes, it's not recommended to have coffee before the summit." So. So he knew exactly what is appropriate and what is not. So we only had coffee while when we already went back, and we were kind of getting ready to go back to our guest house.
Obviously, no alcohol.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Yeah, even though there is a bar on the meteo station, but it's not advised to take alcohol because the body can react in the most unpredictable way, and you would not want to ruin the summit, where with such an unpleasant, let's say, situation. So yeah, we had to be very careful before the summit, but then after, yes, definitely, we had coffee and we had a different kind of dinner, and then we were able to relax a bit.
Exactly. Okay, let's take one or two more questions, and we already discussed this, but I want to kind of nicely summarize it. So, Diana, investing into appropriate clothing and equipment is a waste of money.
No way. No, no. If you want to have a great experience, if you want to feel comfortable, safe, this is the best investment ever. In equipment, clothing, and obviously the company who you're choosing, your guide, your expert, who will guide you in this experience. Sergey, in our case, he had 20 years of experience of leading groups to the mountains, which is extremely important. So he knew not only technical stuff, but also medical, how to deal with certain medical problems that may appear, and also about human factor, how to deal with people in certain situation.
Yeah.
You can react pretty unpredictable. You can be either emotional or shy or quiet or, I don't know, angry. So sometimes in such extreme situation, it's good to have someone experienced who will be able to correctly advise you and guide you. So yeah, I would say equipment and guide is the most important, and obviously the best friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So thank you, Dana. And then let's take the last one. The best time for mountaineering is summer.
Um,
Depends.
based on the conversation that we had with our colleagues, yes and no. Yeah, obviously, if in our case, as beginners, as tourists, let's say, yes, it was summer, the best time. But an experienced
Really
alpinist can go in autumn or in winter. Obviously, they're more prepared and they have the proper skills.
experienced. Oh yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. So as a tourist, yes, it's better summer. But
It's
again,
better.
depending on which mountain, I'm sorry if I will develop that.
Exactly.
Because if
Exactly.
you talk about Kilimanjaro, it's better in winter. Yeah, so it's Africa. So the weather is better there in winter, like January, February, December, maybe. But again, if you choose a proper company with whom to go, they will advise you about destination, time, preparation, list of equipment, and
Yeah.
etc.
Definitely, it was very helpful to have this
Mhm.
company and this great team that was advising us. So for beginners and for intermediates, even, I would also recommend to find a proper company and a good guide that would lead them into such an experience.
Mhm.
Of course, it's different if you're an experienced mountaineer. That's a whole different story. But investing into good equipment, having a good guide, and being prepared on all levels for such an experience will ensure that you'll get the best out of this.
Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
Guys, we would like to talk more to you, but it's been so long, and we've been so happy to share our crazy journey, which feels so unreal still. But we're super grateful for it. And Jana, I actually want to take the moment to be thankful to you that I shared it with you. I'm very happy that we did it together and we supported each other in very, very difficult situations. So thank you for
Like-
sharing it with me, and thank you for also being part of the today's live about Kazbek.
Likewise. Thank you for accepting such a challenge. I know it's not easy, and it was quite unexpected. And obviously, it felt much better having you next to me, and I hope you'll accept the next one.
Okay, I'm coming back to my recovery mode, guys. I'm gonna
Yeah.
recover and then we can talk.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much. It was great, and I'm very happy that we're also sharing it with everybody else. And thank you, everyone, for your questions, for your wishes, and for really supporting us in this journey. I hope we clarified some of the questions for you, or some of the stereotypes that you may also have about such experiences. Right?
Mhm.
It's one thing reaching the top, but the journey makes it so amazing. And yes, it was very hard, but it was definitely worth it. So we're happy to have been there and experienced it.
Yeah.
Thank you all very much. We'll see each other next time for another session of the VDay Hour. Thank you and good night.
Ciao.
Ciao.